14,096. How the power of the Korean people can be revitalized. 1-2. Question. You mentioned that in the era of turning points, contradictions are the result, and growth stems from the power of the people. If the root cause lies in the blockage of individual citizens' education and growth, then what is the most fundamental problem preventing the power of the people from being properly expressed today, and what additional efforts should be made for it to be expressed correctly?
If we do not want to struggle as we live today, even when times are difficult, as long as we are studying, we will not be made to suffer. Think about it carefully. Even if a family is having a hard time, if our children are somehow studying right now, do parents make it difficult for them? Even if I starve to death, I will take care of you. That is God. Even when we are struggling, if I study what I lack despite the hardship, God will never make things difficult for us. It means we should study. The citizens of South Korea need to know how God is raising them. We are not Joseon people, we are South Korean people. How is God raising us? He is raising us as Taoists, Duan, enlightened beings. Since we say Taoist, we might think of it too narrowly, but what is a Taoist? Someone who knows a lot is a Taoist. If we don't know, are we a Taoist? If you don't know, you cannot be a Taoist. Therefore, knowing a lot makes one a Taoist. Is there anyone among our citizens who doesn't know? Even knowing in one's own way is knowing. Internationally, are people as smart as we are? They are not smart. Why? Because they don't know. But South Koreans are smart in their own right and know everything. We know a lot. Someone who knows a lot is called a Taoist. And how is God raising the people of South Korea? He is raising us as Taoists. So while He is raising us as Taoists, we must see whether we are living as Taoists or not. As for raising us, the basics are fully raised. But when you look at the way people live, they live privately sajuk. When someone who knows a lot lives privately, they become a sorcerer guru, dosa. Since we know so much, we say, you're a total dosa. Someone who knows a lot is called a dosa. But while all our citizens were raised to be Taoists Duan, they are living as dosa. What happens if you live as a dosa? Wisdom does not come out. The reason wisdom does not emerge from our citizens is that they are living privately. If we live publicly Gongjok, we become Taoists Duan, and if we live privately Sajok, we become sorcerers Dosa. Whether they are doctors, all kinds of intellectuals, or PhD holders, they all have various talents and skills. They use these to live privately. Then what is the difference between living privately and living publicly? If you live publicly, you become a public figure Gongin, so wisdom emerges. We need to understand how wisdom emerges. If I am personally given a relationship with someone, and I truly live for that person, the wisdom needed for that person comes out. But if I live for this society, the wisdom needed for society emerges. If you live for the nation, and when you check to see if you are truly living for the nation, you live for the nation, then the wisdom needed for the nation emerges. If you live for humanity, the wisdom needed for humanity emerges. Taoists live publicly. And that is why this Hongik 4 practices way, Hongik Sahayingdo, is given. It means that all Hongik humans are Taoists. Yet all of us live only privately. Because we live privately, wisdom does not come out, and everyone is merely smart. We are smart, but wisdom doesn't come out. What is the difference between wisdom coming out and not coming out? It is whether the answer comes out or not. Smart people do not produce the answer, but when wisdom opens, the answer comes out. If I live for the other person, the answer comes out. If I live for myself, the answer does not come out. This is where the exact difference lies. What is the truth? The answer is the truth. When you produce the answer that fits you today, that becomes the truth. This answer emerges when wisdom is opened. If we are truly living for the international community becomes visible. Now we are at a turning point where we must transition from living privately to living publicly. So what happens if we continue to live privately? Things will become increasingly difficult. In this nature, we who have been fully raised by heaven are the descendants of heaven Cheonsan. To raise the last descendants, our ancestors have sacrificed and come all this way. Furthermore, South Korea holds a grand name. Should a person of South Korea live privately, what I am teaching you is that because we are originally descendants of heaven, we are people who must polish ourselves, teach, elevate, and fulfill our historical mission. Now, having grown up as the first generation born around the era of Hangik humans, you are people who must live publicly from now on. But because you live privately, no answer comes out. Even though you are smart, living smartly ends up being shooting oneself in the foot. When people live smartly, they think they are doing well because they are smart, but it ends up shooting them in the foot. So when a couple meets, if I live for you, I will never make a mistake. Claiming to live for you while actually living for myself, wishing you would become my slave, that is why all families are breaking apart today. When a couple meets, they meet so that I can live for you. Think back carefully to when you were dating. Why did that person like me? Because I cherished that person, they liked me, and so we agreed to live together happily. But as soon as we got married, there was nothing but selfish greed. They get angry because the other doesn't live for them. This is why families are turning into a mess today. Whether in places with lots of money or no money, everywhere is a complete mess. Why? Not a single proper family has been formed. Why? The way of living was wrong. No one educated them on this. That is why families are all breaking apart now. I live for you, so why would it break apart? There is no such law. This is a law of nature. Living for you must be your fundamental principle, and living for you must be my fundamental principle. Then, I don't know what kind of living counts as living for you. That is what we learn. How to live correctly. What does it mean to live correctly? Whatever you want to do, ask the other person first. Ask first, I want to do such and such. What do you think? Only if that person likes it is it living for them. I don't like that. Do it anyway. What happens then? That is not living for that person. Even if I have an idea when I want to do such and such, I must ask them before doing it. We must discuss together and try to find the answer for everything. That is living for that person. And that person lives for me in return. Doing so, a family will never break apart. Why? Our family cannot fall into hardship. Because we don't know even such simple methods, we are wandering. Therefore, we must discuss with each other and do everything together. Then, with children too. I taught you how to raise children, didn't I? Until age 7, do not discuss. Until age 7. Raising children lasts up to age 21, and the duty is 3 times 7, 21. You can split it by 7s. Until age 7, you can just hold their hand and lead them. They just need to grow up as I teach them. But starting from age 7, for the next 7 years, you must discuss 30% of things. Doing everything while discussing like that is what human life is. So until age 7, we can just guide our children. They are in the process of laying the foundation, so they unconditionally try to learn. But once they pass age 7, they develop their own assertions. Then you must discuss 30% of everything. And after passing age 14, up to age 21, you must discuss 70% of things. If you lead them like that, they will never become distant from their parents. But once they pass age 21, after that, you must listen to the other person 100% and act in a way that is necessary for them. Leaving the other person aside and saying, I know better, do this, do that, means the parent is dragging them around to live their own life now. Then, the parent and child are bound to become distant. A true parent is one who helps the child succeed, not one who acts out of selfish greed. Those who are distant from their children now, think carefully. You must understand the principle of why you are distant. If I did wrong, even if I did it without knowing, I must reflect. Doing it without knowing was also my fault. Then, even if it has become a habit with the child and couldn't be helped, right after doing it, say, my fault. Say that to your child. My fault, I'm sorry for acting on my own thoughts. If you do that a few times, the child will change completely. Our master told me to listen to your words first and discuss, and to act only on what aligns through discussion. But I pushed my own claim again. My fault. If you do this, children will return immediately. You must recognize your mistake for distance not to grow. Since it was a bad habit, say, forgive me a little, and let's discuss things from now on, and they will come right back. Your child's life will start to untangle. In that way, regarding everything, living for the other person means listening to their opinion first and then making a decision. Then, the other person listens to my opinion and acts accordingly. If we live correctly at just 70% in this way, difficulty will never come. I am not saying you must live 100% correctly. If you make the effort, you are bound to reach 70%. Even living at 70%, difficulty will never come. That is the person of South Korea today. The people of South Korea are being raised like that. In the Joseon era, whether you did well or poorly, there were people who had to sacrifice. There were commoners Sangmin who couldn't acquire knowledge even if they wanted to, and there were noblemen Sadabu who were forced to acquire knowledge even if they didn't want to. When someone who didn't want to acquire knowledge was forced to do so, they secretly went sideways into gisang houses. In that way, that was the Joseon era, but today, for the people of South Korea, an era has been opened where everyone, regardless of gender, acquires knowledge. Opening such doors for our nation is a first since creation and a first in 5,000 years of history, an era where both men and women acquire knowledge together. Acquiring knowledge means making human beings. Once you become a human being, you must live as a human being. When you live as a human being, you shine, and you will never fall into difficulty. As we built South Korean society, our parents had it hard, but our intellectuals were raised without hardship. But while they shouldn't be struggling here, in the end, everyone is about to fall into difficulty now. Why? Because they don't know how to live. That is why this situation has arisen today.